Hi, happy Friday. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what can you focus on within yourself in order to be able to attract in a healthy romantic partnership? There are three groups to choose from. Group one is the Leopard Jasper. Group two is the Tiger's Eye. And group three is the Citrine. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, group one. You chose the Leopard Jasper. So let's see, what can you focus on at this time within yourself in order to attract in a healthy romantic partnership with another person? Okay, so the first one we have is To the Sea. So this is speaking about needing to release some kind of ingrained view that you are not worthy of a healthy and reciprocal loving partnership. This can be based on something that your inner critic has picked up on. Maybe this was like criticism that you experienced in your childhood or from a past partner, or, this can even come from like rejections, a series of rejections, betrayals within romance, where even if you have almost kind of consciously, sort of worked towards the understanding that like it wasn't my fault, the things that have happened, or you very consciously kind of like understood that on some level, there's like a part of you that may have sort of absorbed what another person had erroneously projected onto you, that you were like, it was your fault that certain situations happened. You weren't giving enough, and that's why somebody, stepped outside of the relationship with a third party. Or, you weren't pretty enough, you weren't smart enough, you weren't successful enough. Like all of these different kind of things that either may have been said, or you just sort of assume these things, judged kind of the outer appearance of, maybe subsequent partners that like an ex had, or, someone that you might have been interested in that chose to move in another direction with another person. You may have like compared yourself to kind of the type that they wanted, the people that they were gravitating towards, and then in some way focused or absorbed this kind of narrative that like, because you didn't have certain characteristics or qualifications of like someone else, then it meant you weren't worthy enough to receive. Instead of seeing like rejection as divine protection, that may be something that there's a need to kind of emphasize at this particular point in time. The things that didn't work out in your past, it's appropriate for your future, because it's almost, you would have been limited in some way from a type of happiness that is still available, that is yet to come into your life, or that you've been working very hard in order to kind of provide for yourself, and then it will be mirrored to you in the form of another person. But there may be some kind of like catharsis that is necessary, something where there needs to be kind of not just a focus on kind of the light and love and the positivity and the like, I know I'm good enough, but something where you're needing to kind of get into some of those darker memories, tap into that narrative inside, put a voice to that inner critic and kind of get that out in some sort of way, shed it from where it exists within your subconscious programming, so that the whole of you is on board with the idea of, just because people in your past didn't see your worth, that doesn't mean that like the right person's not out there for you. We also have new life. So for some of you, you still may be clinging to the idea of an ex ex-partner returning. It could be like you've left the door open a crack for somebody. You may be like, okay, I'm interested in new love, I'm interested in someone else, but if this person from the past, if they did the work, if they changed, if they leveled up, I'd give them another chance. I'd hear them out in some sort of way. And for some of you, it's almost just, it's that little kind of grain of hope that is pulling a lot of your energy, maybe more than you realize, away from fully like looking towards the future with optimism and the expectation that something good or something better will come in, because there's a part of you that is still kind of like hanging on to the past, holding out hope, like a past person will choose you, a past person will change. And it feels like at this point in your life, in order to really make leaps and bounds towards those victories in love that you want to experience, you're going to need to be a little bit ruthless. This is almost like Queen of Swords energy, where you're willing to kind of just cut off the idea totally of the past partner and the past person. There may be something where, you could check in every once in a while, like on their social media, or you still find yourself kind of, getting into that place of, maybe it's possible. I've been working on myself. Maybe they've been working on themselves, and our roads will connect further along. And so this is something where it's almost like, in order to really get in that vibration of, I've put in effort to heal from past wounds, to course correct in anything that I contributed to past relationships that, had eroded them, because it takes two to tango usually, within connections that fall apart. It's never all just one person's fault. So anything that you've like taken responsibility for, and your own kind of side of the street, and you've been working on, understanding that it's like you've put in the effort to change, to level up. And it's important to kind of focus on the future and the idea of love and romance from that lens of, I've recreated myself, or I've taken steps to sort of rise beyond whatever hurt me, whatever kind of broke me in the past, romantically speaking, and almost like I'm not interested in the return of a past person. That we had our moment, we had our opportunity, things fell apart for whatever reason, we've gone our separate ways, and so I owe it to my future to invest myself totally in the understanding of, I didn't go through all of this, I didn't put in all this hard work just to make myself worthy of someone who had the opportunity to be with me and fumbled that, or I made some kind of maybe you're the one that made a mistake in a past relationship, and so there's been a sense of, in some way, that has kind of motivated a lot of change that you've been undertaking, like, well, maybe I can kind of win this person back, maybe I can prove to them that I'm different, that I've evolved, that I've up-leveled in some way. And it feels like that's depriving you of the opportunity for like this version of you that's put in all this work to experience something in the form of like brand new partnership. Not a next phase with a past person, but something that is reflective of like who you've become, rising out of the ashes of whatever has kind of collapsed in your life, whether that was something that was your doing or another person's doing. It's almost like you've changed and evolved. And so more of your kind of like conscious sights need to be focused on inviting in the new. We also have enchanting gifts. So this is tying into the idea of celebrating who you are in this moment right now more than you already are. You may think of yourself as a work in progress, or you've been taking steps to make changes materially speaking, maybe changes to your health, to your appearance, to certain interpersonal habits, career changes, lifestyle changes, anything like that. And you may say, I've got certain goals in mind, but I'm not yet at that kind of finish line. And so there's a sense of almost just not appreciating kind of where you are right now in this process, kind of like, I'll get to that goal. I'll reach that goal weight. I'll create that dream life for myself. I'll, do schooling and be able to like move into a better career, or whatever it is that you're like focused on at this point in time that will sort of lead to kind of building that better life, or a life that you enjoy more. There's a need to kind of honor and celebrate and really be very congratulatory of the courage that it's taken you to identify changes you want to make, steps you've taken in that direction, and also celebrating what you consider this work in progress, because it may just be this kind of version of you that's in the process of becoming that is the version that calls in that healthy and reciprocal partnership, where it's not two people that have reached a place of completion that are moving forward into love, but it's two people working on themselves that then join their lives together, and you're walking side by side. You're in tandem with one another through the rest of that kind of individual process of up-leveling. And so by not kind of honoring and recognizing this version of you, this kind of half-formed, it's still kind of messy, you still got things that you want to change, and it's almost, or you may be really focusing on a lot of things like, hey, I need to make a change in this regard, and kind of honoring sort of that future version of you that you're wanting to become or wanting to, call into your reality. But there's something about like who you are in this moment that deserves praise, that deserves celebration. And that keeps like more of the totality of your energy very close to you. And that, it feels like, is something that can help to kind of increase your personal magnetism, because you're not like rejecting parts of yourself, flawed parts of yourself, broken parts of yourself that are still in the process of becoming, in the interest of some kind of like future oriented ideal or idealization or idea of like who you would become, who you can become, who you will be. There's a sense of like who you are in this moment deserves that celebration, and that that idea of the healthy and reciprocal partnership may be closer than you would know, but you're so focused on like it's a future version of me, it's something that I must need to do or change or continue to kind of work on in like a way of mastery in order to be worthy to kind of receive that high vibrational healthy partnership. And we also have rainbow blessings. So this feels to be the energy of kind of taking moments to appreciate little things within your day. If you have like a gratitude list or something that you focus on that is kind of like things that you appreciate, and it may just be kind of sort of generic things or very kind of obvious blessings. This is almost the energy of like stop and smell the roses. If you need to go out of your way to find things that you consider to be beautiful. This can be like wonders within the natural world. This can be, putting on some headphones and listening to your favorite song, indulging in some kind of food that you like, something that brings you into those five senses in a very tactile and sensual way, like in terms of five senses, sensual, and really sort of saturating yourself in that experience of the bliss and the contentment and the satisfaction that lets you know life is really good. Like this moment here and now where I'm savoring something, where I'm witnessing something, where I'm experiencing something, where I've immersed myself in something. That is the good life. And seeking and kind of finding these things in a variety of ways throughout your day, it feels like it's going to have you kind of tapping consistently into that feel-good place inside of you to help you sort of send out a signal kind of to, the ether around you, basically. I'm looking at this time not to call in more lessons or more challenges. I've got enough of those, or I've had enough of those up to this point in time. I'm ready for something that feels good. And until I can find that in the form of like a person that contributes a substantial amount of those feel-good energies to me in a variety of ways, I will seek that out in the sources and in the places that I know I can discover that in a guaranteed sense. You eat your favorite food, you're guaranteed to have some pleasant reaction. You listen to your favorite song, you're guaranteed to like go to a happy place inside. So it's actively kind of seeking those things out in order to really announce that frequency. Like, this is what I'm choosing to participate with in this time. And it feels like in general, that's going to open the doors for you, just as like a whole, to kind of experiencing more things that give you genuine reasons to smile or to be happy or to say, in this moment, everything is perfect. Everything is wonderful. I can put my concerns aside for even just this moment in time and come to that place within where all is well. And the more that you, and this isn't advocating like escapism and sort of like not dealing with, the difficult things with heavy emotions. It's almost like, in addition to sort of honoring your future, or, becoming like a well-rounded person, or kind of like working on your healing or your evolution or your ascension, there's also a need to not just look at it like, okay, I'm going to treat myself to the reward of like these things that feel good, but look at it as kind of part of your essential self-care practice. It's balancing that light and shadow. And the more that you consciously do that, not on a sporadic way, but like little things, like small increments throughout the day on a daily basis that you can do to kind of tap into that vibe, no matter what kind of stress you have going on, no matter what other things, pressures or things that you're working on, that might be uncomfortable or difficult. It's like you can carve out time to experience bliss, to seek it out, to consciously kind of step outside of whatever your normal or ordinary routine is, or what you're focused on, in order to kind of tap into that vibe. And it feels like that is something that is going to be very important for, calling in someone that is not only just there in kind of like the light times, but also there in the heavy times. Like there may be a lot of emphasis at this point in time of kind of like heaviness, darker emotions, which is why it's almost like, in order to call in something that's not like a heavy or darker kind of a relationship, with a lot of toxicity, or just reflects that brokenness that you may have been putting a lot of your attention on, putting a lot of your energy into, in the hopes of like healing it, understanding it, learning to kind of integrate that shadow, having compassion for yourself. There's also a need to kind of counterbalance that, not with some kind of toxic positivity or, like avoidance or like spiritual bypassing, but things that are like genuinely bring you a sense of joy, genuinely for you as an individual. I know this makes me feel good. I know this is some place that I can experience, or something that like my five senses, in how that connects with parts of myself emotionally, there's a guarantee of, this is a happy place. This is the feeling of bliss. And in that way, it's like you're sending out a very authentic vibration, and this will call in something that is reciprocal to that. We also have full moon completion. So it may be time for you to kind of set a deadline for yourself, and to be very firm with this, almost very disciplined. It kind of ties back into the idea of sort of waiting for a past person to return, or even things as far as like your healing journey is concerned. Some of you may have kind of spiraled into like a healing trap. Healing is like an onion. Like there's many, many layers to it. You can, dive into one thing, and that just exposes tons of different rabbit holes, different things that you're seeing from different angles. And it's very easy to kind of get caught up in that, get lost in that, feel very overwhelmed in the sense of like, wow, there's a lot I need to work on. I'm a work in progress. I don't feel ready for love yet. There were so many toxic experiences, or low vibrational experiences that I've had in my past, or people that I was dealing with, and I absolutely don't want to experience any of that again. But it's so entrenched. Like, I don't know how to get through all of this. I don't know how to lift myself up out of all of it. There may be a sense of almost feeling that you need like a completely clean slate. Like there's a start point and an end point, and then it's all going to be healed. Nothing's going to hurt anymore. And that may have put you on like a very long journey of that deadline just keeps getting extended. There keeps being like more things that you're discovering, things you're seeing from a different angle, more triggers that are coming up. And so there's a sense of doing yourself a favor by just making a commitment to yourself, like, okay, I am going to conclude my healing journey. It's enough. I've done enough. I'm healed enough. I'm embracing the parts of myself that may be still broken, still flawed. I'm open to the possibility that, I may attract in a toxic relationship in the future. Nobody's perfect. And if that does happen, then I'll deal with it when it happens, if it happens. I'm not just going to continue to sort of, build in the direction of, okay, I need to keep healing. And this is the only guarantee of like calling in this kind of fantasy version of a completely healed person and everything's okay. And we ride off into the sunset and it's all, rainbows and sunshine. That may be something that is kind of like an idealization or a fantasy of what the notion of like a healthy and reciprocal partnership could look like, that could be the result of ideas that you'd kind of like picked up maybe through movies, through books, through childhood, through kind of the dramatization of what love should be like, or this kind of fantasy version of it that reality has failed to capture. You've not experienced that in a manifest version in the here and now, and it feels like something that might have motivated you in that direction of healing. Like, okay, I want to strive for something like that. I want a love that is extraordinary, that's different than anything I've ever known. I want that higher love. I'm not interested in kind of low vibe or mundane love, and that might have really started up a momentum of a journey that has led to some beautiful progress within yourself and as a person and emotionally. But there's almost a sense of like needing to sort of step away from that, giving yourself some grace, doing yourself a favor, and kind of shifting that full focus onto really just embracing this version of you in the here and now. It may even be for some people this idea of like, I've got to heal, I got to work on myself. It may have even become like compulsive. Could even be kind of addicted to the idea of it. There may even be where it's in that kind of shadow territory, where instead of just taking personal accountability, it's spiraled into some kind of like hypercritical energy, or you're being like mean to yourself almost. And so there's a sense of really taking that time to kind of just put a stop to that, put an end date to that, and say enough is enough. I'm done with that for this chapter of my life. This version of me that I've worked so hard to become is worthy of love and partnership. And I'm going to give this version of me the opportunity to spread their wings and fly. And we also have stone people, vigilance. So this kind of ties into more of that Queen of Swords energy, and sort of something where you may need to tell yourself, no is a complete sentence, and I'm not going to, overlook red flags. I'm not going to give people a whole lot of chances. I'm going to trust the instinct and the intuition that I've had to learn to listen to, or that has been my companion through a process of healing, or, kind of exploring your spirituality, or just whatever else that looks like. And when you move forth in that idea of kind of, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to put myself in the mix. I'm going to make that effort to go where I can meet people that are like-minded, that are single, that are available. There's a sense of almost in those first steps in that direction, or like from some point where you kind of discontinue efforts to heal as much as you have been, or kind of focus on that. Like I need to kind of continue to raise that vibe. I need to continue to up level. I've always got to be in this place of like perfection, or over perfecting things. There's a sense of almost very quickly kind of like it's a yes or it's a no. You don't wait for those red flags to come up. You follow that gut instinct, learning to really trust, because some of you may be like, okay, am I just scared of being hurt again? Or is this really my intuition telling me something's off about a person or a situation? And it feels like the best thing you can do, at least to create some traction or some mileage between where you are now and getting closer to that place of encountering that healthy and reciprocal partnership and like creating that with someone, is to be very quick in those movements. If it's not an immediate yes, it's a no. The second it feels off, you cut that off. You don't give people a lot of chances. You're not kind of operating in that gray area where it opens up kind of the ability for those wounds that you've been working on, or those triggers, or those past experiences to kind of creep up from the shadows and sort of get you back in another trauma bond, have you in a place where you're chasing love or seeking to kind of prove your lovability. Like you've evolved beyond that. And so this is almost the sense of trusting that sort of progress forward from where you are to where you want to be. It's kind of based at this point in time through very quick movements of yes, I want to get to know this person more, or no, this doesn't feel like it's going to be right. Trusting maybe even sort of dreams that come through, downloads that come through, what your body is telling you in this person's presence. If it starts to feel uncomfortable, trust enough in sort of who you've evolved into and who you've become that you are not in a place of like fearing history repeating itself. Again, it's that idea of like rejection is divine protection. You're in the process of kind of moving out of one cycle into another, and so your intuition kind of steering you in a better direction. It's not gonna lead you astray, or it's not gonna like point you towards something that would be wrong, but it will indicate when you kind of would be encountering something that would be a waste of time, or that would be a reflection of like a cycle you've already broken out of. So I want to get a few message cards from this like self-love deck, and then I'll close the reading out with some initials. These, you can use these as like part of your daily mantras, or just something maybe to like journal about or think about even. Okay, and we have, I release old burdens and expectations of love. I am free to choose with confidence. I let go of control and surrender my expectations of love to beautiful synchronicity. And I anchor the boundless light in my heart. I am divine. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got P, T, U, T, S, Z, M, P, M, F, V, O, B, Q, L, A, W, N, E, L, and C. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the tiger's eye. So let's see, what can you focus on within yourself in order to attract in a healthy and romantic partnership with another person? So the first one that we have is the Fates. So this is almost tying into the idea that for some of you, there may be somebody that is already around you, or that you will meet very soon. Like you're right on the brink of kind of the stars aligning fully. Like it's just the last couple of steps before that kind of connection manifests for you. And so there may be something within your energy that can kind of almost sense, hey, I'm getting ready to step into a new experience, like a new type of person is coming into my reality. And so some of you may be almost instinctually kind of closing yourself off because there's like a fear of the unknown. There's a fear of history repeating itself. There's something that's almost like you may be stating that you want the healthy and reciprocal partnership, but the wounds inside inside, or the fear of those wounds that you've had to like suture closed on your own, or that it's taken a lot of work to heal from. There's almost a sense of not trusting fully in your own discernment, in your own judgment, in your own ability to kind of vet people out that may be making you kind of like push against this blessing that is already coming in for you. Either there's somebody that you're kind of just, you're pushing this person away, like not even giving them an opportunity to get close to you, to get to know you. You may be like inadvertently kind of like avoiding someone or avoiding certain situations because there's a part of you like energetically, instinctually, subconsciously even, that can kind of perceive I'm in unknown territory. And so it's bringing forth a sense of like closing off into your shell because of vulnerability, because of a sense of like, I know how to operate in low vibrational connections. I know what heartbreak feels like. I know what disappointment feels like. I know what getting my hopes up only to have that let down. I know what that's like. But I don't really know what wish fulfillment is like. I've worked to come to that place of, being the love of my own life, accepting myself, healing, closing out previous cycles. I've done all that legwork, but I don't know what it is to experience something that won't leave me worse for wear, that will actually give as much as is taken, someone that will support me through the ups and downs of life and will allow me to do the same for them. I don't know what that's like. And so it's almost the sense of like being very hesitant to kind of take that step forward, which is something that it's almost, you can't push yourself out of that. So at this point in time, there's just a need to kind of contemplate that, ponder that, sit with that notion that maybe there's nothing you have to do to kind of call something in or go seek something out. It's either here or it's right about to enter your reality, and you need to have understanding within yourself because you can't push this away. This idea of fate, it's almost like you've done the work. Now get ready to receive the reflection of that effort that you've put in within yourself. And there's a sense of just holding that space of understanding and knowing as well that like the right person kind of encountering you with this sort of an aspect of you have a lot to give. You've put out that sort of intention of like, I'm wanting something. I'm wanting this. I've worked to become that love I hope to experience with another person. The right person isn't going to be dissuaded by that, but by what almost might be self-protectiveness or boundaries. They'll be curious enough to kind of stick around and understand that. They will work with you in that capacity. They will compromise. They will level up. They will bring something to the table in actuality that just kind of helps neutralize that defensiveness or softens you, makes you feel very just safe in their presence. But because it's something that's unlike what you've known before, even though it'll be a good thing, there's almost a sense of like, I'm afraid because I don't know what a good thing feels like. And we also have milk and honey. So this is encouraging you to continue to like anything that you've done to sort of change your routine, change your habits, get out there, get out of your head, get out of your room, get out of your house, get out of the, process that you've been in up to this point in time to kind of like heal from past experiences, to seek to understand kind of your role in your own suffering and how you can course correct that in any ways. Anything that you've been working on as far as like the glow up and the level up, it's time to show that off. It's time to allow yourself to be seen. For some of you, there may be a fear of being seen where it's like you've done all this work and that love is there, but you're not putting yourself out there. And this doesn't mean like, you're not, go get on for some of you it could be, get on the dating app, give that a try. Create social media accounts, post more on your social media, or get out within your community. Explore different things. Just be in places where there can be eyes on you, and that increases the probability that this person who can give you a reciprocation of the love and care and affection that you've cultivated within yourself for yourself, that you can cross paths with them. Like the time of kind of just dreaming this into being behind closed doors, it's run its course in some sort of way. Like you've become the pot of gold at the end of somebody's rainbow, and they are that for you. But unless you physically kind of go out and about and do things, get out of the comfort zone, expand your horizons, virtually or actually, or some combination of both, where you're actively participating, then you're just going to continue to sit in this energy of longing. And some of you may be resistant to that, maybe kind of like leaning into the litany of excuses. It's too expensive to go out. I don't have anyone to go out with. I don't have anywhere to go. And it's even like, just get out and walk around your neighborhood. Go to a park. Go window shopping. Go into a restaurant or a cafe and order a cup of coffee. Order tea. Something that kind of just, you're not having to necessarily spend a whole lot of money and splurge. Or if you have the ability to kind of go out and treat yourself, go out with friends, go out and have different experiences, then do that. Kind of some of you may be almost like, well, I've saved things up for a rainy day. In order to experience that kind of like sunshine that love and romance can be, you may need to look at, okay, I'm gonna go out to dinner. I'm gonna go do this activity. I'm gonna, use that money that's like the rainy day fund, not all of it, but it's like something in your bank account, something in your savings account. I'm going to, allow myself to dip into that in a reasonable capacity and go and live my life. I'm going to act responsibly, but in the here and now, if I have this desire for partnership, if I have this like goal of meeting someone, of encountering that love of my life, it's not going to happen if I'm just at home in my PJs. It's not going to happen if I'm just kind of, sitting and wishing for something. And yet the routine that I have established for myself, there's been no success so far in encountering someone or the type of person that I want. So I got to get outside of my comfort zone. I got to pay to see. In other words, kind of like I've got to invest in putting myself in some sort of way. Maybe that's even just the gasoline to drive somewhere where you're sitting and you're having a coffee, you're having a tea. You're transporting yourself from where you are to where you want to be. Something in that capacity that is kind of like, look at that as a good expense at this point in time, and putting yourself in that environment where you're going to meet that person, you're going to encounter that person, you're going to get to know different kinds of people, and are therefore able to, connect with that one who can see and appreciate the gift that you are, the treasure that you are, and that you've worked to become. We also have chop wood. So again, this is the idea of like coming out of hiding in some sort of way. There may be things that you are needing to discontinue as well, as far as like habits or behaviors or places that you've gone or that you've attempted. Maybe it is like dating apps or, a particular place that you've tried to go, you've tried to meet someone, and you only end up feeling disappointed. It's been nothing but closed doors. It's been a dead end. It's been very disappointing. And there's almost a sense of you might be keeping that alive or participating within it of like, well, maybe if I'm just a little more patient, maybe if I just wait it out, maybe, my special someone hasn't arrived here yet or hasn't come across my profile yet. Something that it's like you've already invested time and effort in sort of like putting yourself out there towards it, and it's just making you feel bad or frustrated or disappointed. This may be the time to like shut that down, deactivate that account, delete that account, go somewhere else. Don't keep going to the same place. Like, don't keep fishing in the same fishing hole if you're not getting any bites, if you're not catching anything, if you're not, attracting anything in. That it's almost like the change of scene, the change of environment, something that just kind of rides that wave of like, I'm ready for something else in my life. And so I'm taking those steps very actively in order to alter the details of my circumstances in as many ways as I can, or in some sort of significant way that almost like frees up the your space, your time, your energy, your money even, to do something else. Like if you've been going to the gym, for example, like, okay, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, but maybe I'll meet someone here, and it's just kind of, you're getting fit, you're getting healthy, but you're really not encountering anyone. Maybe it's time to get a gym membership at a different club, a different sort of scenario. Spend the money in gas to go somewhere on the other side of town where it's a different group of people. It's a different time of day that you're going. Something that just kind of changes up the routine and pattern that puts you, again, you're like right on the brink, it feels like, of encountering that special somebody. But it's just requiring sort of like stepping outside of I'm stuck in my habits, I'm stuck in my routine, I'm closed within myself, and kind of opening that up in some way. We also have childhood innocence. So this can tie into the idea of, for some of you, there may be some revisions that need to be made to like an earlier list of qualifications that you're looking for in a partner. This might even be like a helpful exercise for some people to think about, sort of like when you were dreaming of what love would be like in like a younger point in your life before, heartbreak happened, or, at kind of like earlier stages even of your healing journey, when you're like, okay, I'm calling in like an ideal partnership, somebody that really kind of matches the requirements of what I want, and these are the requirements. Maybe you have that in a journal somewhere, maybe it's something you can just recall, or something that even kind of you can reflect on, sort of, these are the type of people that I gravitate towards historically, or call into my reality. This is what relationships have been like. This has been like common factors. And in some way there's a need to kind of revise that or update that to reflect something that has kind of evolved or changed within you, maybe even in a very short amount of time. Some of you may have gone through like several glow ups, you've leveled up, something has almost like shifted, that you're ready for the idea of like a healthy and reciprocal romantic relationship. That's a mature relationship. And so there may be sort of like naive expectations, innocent expectations, things that kind of came from a time in your life or a version of you where you were less informed, maybe about your own trauma. Heartbreak sort of shaped you into a different kind of person. Life itself shaped you into a different kind of person, for better or worse, to where it's almost like what resonated with you at previous stages of your reality, it's not what's going to fulfill like who you've worked to become. So maybe even kind of like creating a new list of qualifications, sort of like, this is what I'm looking for in a person. Revising that image in your mind in some sort of way is going to bring you up to speed with kind of what is that match for what you actually bring to the table in the here and now. We also have stone people, vigilance. Yeah, so this is another confirmation of that idea of sort of unclenching your energy. For some of you, this may be helpful at this point in time to kind of engage in things that you find relaxing, like aromatherapy, massages, different sorts of things that kind of like help you to come to a place of a sense of safety within your own body, because there may be something where even like your posture or your body language, it's kind of like closed off in some sort of way without you even realizing it. There's like a stiffness about you when you're out and about, or when you're kind of just sitting with yourself. Even if you're like, okay, I've got these dreamy feelings about what healthy and reciprocal partnership should look like, or should be like, there's a part of you that again kind of fears the unknown, because whatever's getting ready to come in, or whatever you're able to like magnetize in at this point, it's better than anything you've experienced. It'll be different in a very substantial way than anything you've ever experienced. And so there's some kind of subconscious fear of like, I don't know how to act. I don't know what that's going to be like. It's almost like the ego has kind of frozen into itself of sort of like, okay, I've got a playbook as far as toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, dissatisfying relationships. I know what to expect. I know how to maneuver. I know how unhealed versions of myself showed up in romance. But healthy love, high vibrational love, reciprocal love, that's new. I've become a new version of myself, and I don't know what the reflection of that is like. And so almost like a self-protective mechanism, the ego may be almost trying to sort of armor you up, like to keep away these new experiences that paradoxically you're wanting to have. That your mind and your heart is like, I want that healthy love. I want that high vibrational love. But then almost like the animal instinct is within you is like, but I don't know how to operate at that vibration with myself or with another person. We also have ceremony, invocation. So this can indicate kind of a ceremony that you may do that can be kind of something that you know, do very officially. You make a ritual out of it, or even just something in your mind where you start to almost plan the grieving process of the version of yourself that has been like a work in progress, or the version of you that called in unhealthy relationships, or you know, experienced heartbreak and wounding. It's almost like that version of you served in survival mode. It served you up to this point in time. You're almost giving it its walking papers. I don't need that version of myself anymore. I thank that version of myself for its service to me, for getting me through my life up to this point in time, for being brave enough to love in the first place, or love again after disappointments. But I'm ready for something more. I'm ready to discover that unknown version of myself, the unknown type of love or experience of love that I can visualize in my mind to have an idea of what that is, but I've never experienced it in a visual or tangible way before, and so it's a bit scary. And so it's almost like you step into that kind of adventurous version of you that is just like open to the new experience. I'll learn as I go. I will discover ways to adapt to the experience of something that isn't going to leave me worse for wear, isn't just going to represent another lesson, isn't going to be something that I need to heal from. Because I want to be that version of myself. I want to experience somebody that's the complement of that version of myself. And in order to reach for that or to embody that, it also requires in some sort of way unclenching and shedding this version of yourself that has been kind of like closed for spiritual maintenance, has learned lessons, and is therefore, you know, trying to keep other hurt and heartbreak away. That is like, I want certain types of experiences, but I've also had to learn to like use my discernment or put up my boundaries or be very disciplined in kind of facing my own reflection, healing, up-leveling, feeling those difficult feelings, moving forward with those, and finding ways to keep an open heart or open my heart to love again after everything that has happened, after what I've been through. And so something that almost honors that unspoken voice of the ego that is very afraid of the wish fulfillment that you're getting ready to encounter. And to have compassion for that side of you. Not that you're self-sabotaging, but that this is almost like the most self-loving part of you that's like, I love you so much, I don't want you to experience hurt. And when we step into the unknown territory of a new type of relationship, all of the survival skills, all of the strategies, all the things to anticipate, that goes out the window. It doesn't apply. And so the ego's like, I don't know how to protect you in that. I don't know how to stand between sort of like heartbreak and you at that place. So honoring that tightness, that armor as a version of yourself that has been like holding yourself, you've been holding yourself so close during a period of like healing and up-leveling and personal growth. And now it's time to wish that version of yourself farewell so you can step into the expansiveness and the excitement of receiving the person who's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that complements the pot of gold that you are at the end of the rainbow as well. So I'm going to get some message cards from the self-love deck, and you can use these as maybe like journal prompts or mantras or just something to kind of think about, and then I'll close the reading out with some initials. Okay, and we have, I see clearly and accurately through divine assistance. I hear benevolent messages loud and clear. I am my own healer. And I am clear and open to receive miracles. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got V, B, N, R, B, F, Y, O, H, N, H, O, M, L, G, P, S, C, U, A, E, W, J, C, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Citrine. So let's see, what can you focus on right now within yourself in order to attract in a healthy and reciprocal romantic relationship with another person? Okay, the first one we have is co-create. So there's a sense here of trusting in the work that you've done up to this point in time, the place that you're at within your journey in life, that if love hasn't shown up in a way that is to your liking up to this point, that it's almost like things are being moved around behind the scenes, or that person that represents kind of the experience in love, which is healthier and more reciprocal and higher vibration than what you've known in previous chapters of your life. They may be like making their way towards you. You may have done a lot of work within yourself, or you're almost kind of like ahead of the curve in some sort of way. You've reached this place of readiness ahead of schedule, or it's part of the nature of whatever the next kind of experience in love is supposed to be for you. Not that is a reflection of like past cycles you've worked to close out of, but that represents like an up-leveled experience. So this can indicate somebody that is supposed to come in for you, is like due to come in, like a soulmate, somebody you have a soul connection with, where it's not just, okay, I met this person and we're deeply compatible and it works, and so we're going to go forward with it. But there may be something that's almost like a predestined person you're supposed to meet in this lifetime. There's a lot of potential of kind of what can develop, or you know, how far that can go, whether it's a connection with like a start date and an end date, or it's your forever person. You know, it's almost like anything could happen within that situation. So it's trusting that like there is someone out there that will meet your requirements, or kind of match who you've worked to become, or you know, the vibe that you're holding at this point in time, that, you know, healthiness and that you know, kind of wholeness within yourself, that there is a complementary individual for that. You're not just supposed to kind of walk through life in a solitary fashion in that sense, but they may be further behind in their journey. They may have taken certain detours, and so it's taken them longer to get there, or it's part of the nature of the contract in general, where it's like you're just supposed to enjoy this moment here and now and not apply so much stress or worry or anxiety to like, where are they? Why can't I meet anyone? Why is everybody else having these successful relationships and I'm not? Why did I invest all this kind of time and effort and, money even, and sort of like healing and working on myself and improving, only to be alone? What was the point of all of that? This isn't fair. Like, was this all it was supposed to result in? Is kind of, okay, I learned to fall in love with myself. Great. Okay, so now I'm walking through life as my own love of my life, which is wonderful, which is beautiful, but I want somebody, I want love. It's a very like human want, need, and desire. And so anything that you're maybe even sort of tasked to kind of sit within that, it may be part of almost like when this comes in, the feeling of fulfillment of that experience, it's going to help to make the wait worth it. And so there's something about really kind of challenging yourself to truly just like hold space. And this doesn't mean, sit on your haunches and kind of just, okay, this person's just going to come to me. They're just going to materialize one day and then it's going to be love. Then it's going to be what I'm looking for. This is all about like living your life, following those instincts or that curiosity to kind of like, talk to new people, put yourself in different situations where you could meet someone, but really just take the stress and the pressure off of like actively searching or putting so much of your thought into like, where are they? Who are they? When are they coming along? And trust that any sort of delay that's happening at this point, it's not just to taunt you. It's not just to tease you. It's not just to kind of, create discomfort or suffering within you on the part of the universe or like whoever this person is, but there's some kind of reason for that. Either the person that you're supposed to align with in this capacity, they're on a different type of journey than you, or it may even be where it's like by the time they arrive, what they've been working on within themselves in this time where you're kind of like, okay, I'm sitting here in this place of readiness, but I can't find my match. I can't find, my mate. I can't find my partner. Maybe I don't have one. You're entertaining thoughts like that. Maybe there is nobody out there for me. Maybe it's just me. It's just me and like, soulmates on the other side of the veil, or just me in a very solitary energy. There's some kind of necessity about that kind of strength within the solitude that matches the frequency of what some other person who's like on their way to you, what they're working on behind the scenes, what they're cultivating in a different and yet complementary way as you, to where when that potential cracks wide open and you experience it in real time, this is something that it's like, it's a next stage up in your healing journey. The wait was worth it. Or it's building that kind of like personal empowerment through stillness. That when you're able to receive that in the form of another person, it very likely could be kind of this higher vibe, healthier, reciprocal relationship. It's your forever person. It's somebody that reflects all the healing that you've done within yourself, and kind of honoring the nature of this person's journey, whoever they are and wherever they are at in their life and kind of their progress towards you. There's a reason for everything. Some of it will become known. Some of it is unfathomable while you are within your human incarnations, but it's almost something that's kind of like, it's predestined. It's preordained. You didn't work this hard and kind of come this far just to stand there alone forever. We also have time for a nap. Yeah, so this almost feels like an exercise to kind of Deliberately pull yourself down into the energy of patience and stillness, finding empowerment within that solitude, rather than kind of like getting very frantic, getting very impatient, getting very frustrated, like honoring those feelings as they come up, but not dwelling there. Finding new sort of ways to empower yourself within that stillness of, I'm just living my life. I built this version of myself single-handedly. I didn't become this while in a relationship with another person. I have no one to credit for this version of me besides myself, my higher power, whatever, you've kind of utilized as far as like practices and beliefs and habits that have kind of helped to sort of forge who you are in this moment, that can say confidently, yeah, I'm ready for something better in my life than I've known, and I'm ready for something better in love than I've known. There's power within that, within occupying that space without the urge to kind of jump towards something else. Trusting in a way that maybe like the biggest test for you could be to trust, especially if you've been single for a long time and you're like, I'm tired of waiting. The clock's ticking. If you've got like a biological clock and you're trying to have kids, trying to start a family, there may be that pressure as well that is kind of making you antsy, making you sort of like, okay, this is scary, this is uncomfortable. It may be time to even sort of sit in the visioning and the imagining of, okay, if that time comes and goes, if you don't have kids, if you end up with a loving partner, but then it's just the two of you, building a sense that your life will go on. You'll be okay. You'll be more than okay. You can find other ways in order to pour that kind of mothering instinct into consciousnesses or experiences or people that aren't necessarily your biological kids. There's a sense of almost kind of learning to even sit within this reality of, I'm fine as I am on my own. I am whole as I am on my own. I need for nothing. I have no need for anyone besides this beautiful version of myself that I fought tooth and nail to preserve or to create despite all the odds. And whatever life looks like with this version of myself going forth every day into the future with the optimism that I'm exactly where I need to be in my life. And if I'm not, I'll do what I can in order to take steps to get there. Going with that empowered attitude, it feels like keeps that receptive channel of you open to where this person that is supposed to align with you, that there's like a clear road ahead for them to continue with the process of whatever it is that they are going through in their life or wherever they're at on their journey, to be able, as they're tapping into their personal empowerment center within, as they're finding their power, reclaiming their power, strengthening their power in a variety of ways, it's almost like they can conjunct with you energetically. You're aligned within that solar plexus chakra, that seat of personal empowerment, because this type of love, this healthy, high vibrational romantic relationship, that's empowering. That's not something which diminishes. That's the idea of rising into love as opposed to falling into love. It's like power couple energy. So honoring your personal power, your personal strength, honoring the wait time, devoting yourself not to like, where are they? Where is this person? Where's my somebody? But instead, pouring all of that energy, forcing that energy within yourself to just the groundedness of the here and now. Whenever the overthinking or the dark thoughts come in and you start to spiral maybe into hopelessness or fear, drag yourself to that place of, I've worked very hard to become this version of me, and it's not for nothing. And I'm here now in my own energy, and that's a beautiful place to be. And I'll continue to be in my own energy until the time is right when I am aligning with someone that is sweeter than my solitude, that can match that frequency within. And then you're not putting out that vibration of desperation, which it feels like for wherever you're at in your journey, it's not even like, oh, if you were putting that out, you'd attract something low vibe. No, it would just create unnecessary suffering and anguish. You don't need to do that to yourself. You've come too far to wallow. We also have unfinished symphony. So this can tie into the idea of like redirecting your focus, redirecting your thoughts as much as possible away from love. The idea with this egg here, and then we got this egg also on the co-create. There's this idea of like something is germinating behind the scenes. Something is ripening. Like another person who is supposed to burst forth and kind of stand on this higher plateau with you, up on this elevated place. Like you've created a pedestal for yourself. You've pedestalized yourself. It's someone who has also done that for themselves, but this person's in the process of doing it. They're coming. They're making their way towards you. And so rather than kind of just like looking all around, like where are they? When's it happening? Tap into that empowerment center, and the love of my life already exists within me. We are already energetically connected. Time will make a bridge for the two of us. It's not too late. We haven't missed one another. If it's not here, if I'm not looking this person in the eye, if I'm not waking up to them every day, then it's not the appointed hour for our intersection. And then stopping yourself at that place and saying, now, from that, what other things in my life can I pour myself into? Can I pour my passion and this beautiful energy that I hold inside, the love that I am? Where can I pour that is going to blossom in the here and now? What hobbies and interests can I cultivate or improve upon? Where can I, create new opportunities or better myself financially, professionally, creatively? What are other interpersonal relationships, friends, family that are receptive in the here and now that I can have, like platonic love, familial love? I can pour all that, desire to start a family of my own into nieces and nephews, into friends' kids, into, different people in my life that, or even like my pets that would benefit and would appreciate and would reciprocate with me in their own way all that beautiful love that I have to give. And putting that focus there takes your mind off of this kind of like, where are they? Where is this person? Which again is this idea of like the cultivation of patience, timing. Like you can fret all you want, and whatever's happening with this other person behind the scenes, it's not going to speed up time. It's not going to make it go faster. It's not going to make that incubation period happen any quicker. We also have mountain strength. So again, this is kind of like focusing your attentions on the here and now in the things that are solid within your life, are performing, or that you have the ability to kind of control. This can tie into, kind of up-leveling yourself professionally, financially, creating a side hustle, a side business, looking into entrepreneurship, opening another business, or getting involved in some other venture if you already do that, or even if you don't. Something where it's kind of like, I can pour all of this desire for prosperity in a blanket sense, which for the context of this reading, it's like, I want prosperity, romantically speaking. You can, in the meantime, cultivate that prosperity for yourself in different forms, which keeps you from kind of just not enjoying this necessary wait time, this period where you've reached that place of readiness, either ahead of schedule or it's part of the soul contract with whoever is supposed to come in. This doesn't just feel like random or serendipitously you meet someone, although it may be through a series of serendipities or synchronicities that you encounter this healthy, reciprocal high vibrational partnership. But it's almost like there's somebody that reflects kind of the version of yourself that you've worked hard to create. And if they're not here right now, there's a reason for it. And some of that reason may be you need to work to strengthen that patience. Not like, well, I've sat very patiently, but this may be the time where you're having to be very disciplined, very almost like tough love on yourself. I will not allow myself to sit and spiral into a woe is me attitude. I will not allow myself to settle. I will not allow myself to sit and worry and kind of rage about the fact that I've got all this love to give and nobody to give it to. I won't let myself do that. Or I'll pull myself out of that as quickly as I can, because that accomplishes nothing more other than just kind of raining on your own parade, dampening your reality, when there are much more constructive things or productive things that you could apply that frequency of love, like the full spectrum of it, into areas of your life that like you're guaranteed to have results. You're guaranteed to like, okay, I can't control another human being's personal journey through lessons, through karma, through healing, through, personal growth. I cannot affect change in that area. But I can affect change strengthening the bonds between myself and friends and family by showing up and participating more. I can affect my financial prosperity, maybe by going back to school, learning new skills, starting a side business, turning a hobby into a business. And that helps to increase kind of my net worth or my material sense of stability. I can affect change in those areas. I can work on things as far as like developing my personality, my range of interests, my physical health and wellness, by investing time and action steps within certain activities. That I can pour myself into and watch the blossoming in a very positive way of. So that may be something that is very crucial at this point in order to keep the receptive component of you almost like distracted and open so that whoever this is can just kind of enter your reality. Yeah, and we also have clouds, shape-shifting. So more of that energy of just sort of redirecting your thoughts, reimagining kind of this idea of you don't need to go out and seek for this type of partnership. It will come to you. It will merge with wherever you're at in your life when the timing is right. Like somebody is making their way to you. They're going through maybe like a death rebirth process, or they've come through some kind of dark night of the soul. They're leveling up right now in the ways that you've already done. You're almost like anchoring the light for this person, or you're representing kind of like a home base that somebody in their own journey is in the process of being kind of formatted in order to be that proper fit. So there's nothing you need to do to change. It's almost like that person that is that proper fit for you, they're being retrofitted consciously, spiritually, unconsciously, through just kind of like life, world circumstances, personal karmic lessons that they're needing to go through, to where it's almost like when this comes in, it's not just like, okay, this now I've experienced a better relationship than every unhealthy thing I've known before, but it's almost something that'll be that aha moment. Oh, okay, I see what this person needed to go through or needed to become, or even in this process of waiting, what was cultivated or strengthened inside, qualities and characteristics that were existing within me, but I needed to have that ability to kind of refine that, sharpen that in some sort of way, because maybe it benefits my life going forward, or I can show up as a better partner. Whatever you and this person, the life between you becomes, you're able to kind of go through the motions of like, we're sticking it out in the long term. You're building endurance in some sort of way at this point, by keeping your heart open to the knowledge that like they will be around and come into my life when the time is right. But I'm also not depriving myself of the opportunity to kind of live my life in the here and now. We also have dream time creation. So a beautiful way to kind of, again, sort of keep that receptive energy within you ripe and open and primed to receive is to pour all of that kind of frantic or desperate or just kind of passionate energy of like, I'm ready for love, I'm ready for that high vibrational partnership, I'm ready for that person that reflects my healing, pour that into your creativity. For some of you, this may be something where you're called to like give back, share about your story or your journey, whatever has led you to this place of like where you're at in your life, where you may have gone through ups and downs in life and in love. You may have been on quite a journey to kind of build this version of yourself or unearth this version of yourself. This may be the time not to kind of like seek and create romance with another person, but seek and create almost like way shower energy, or something that is kind of able to be made available to other people out there who may find themselves in similar circumstances from where you were. Like they started where you were, or they're in the midst of kind of what you've gone through. And so a way to kind of take your attention off of this kind of like searching, like where's this perfect person, is pour yourself into something that may be part of like the purpose of why you've gone through what you've gone through, not just to prepare yourself for like a higher vibe experience as far as romance, but there may be something in like your personal story or your journey or your perspective or like who you've become or who you are at this particular point in time that could benefit other people within like a collective, or something that you have experience or knowledge in, either professionally or even just personally. Something that it's almost like the time right now is not necessarily the hour for love in that sense, but yet you're tapping into that very empowered, the higher vibrational connection is coming in. We're already linked energetically speaking, and until they manifest materially, all of that empowered energy, there may be some other use or purpose for it in the here and now. There may be a reason that this person is like not in your reality or not showing up, because there's something else you're supposed to kind of get off the ground, build, create, develop, strengthen in some sort of way that could have to do with like a business, some kind of prosperity, even just something even related to like healing or, wellness, spirituality, anything in that capacity. That it's like, this is the time where all of that kind of spectrum of love, it's supposed to be poured into something, and that may be what it's kind of meant to be poured into at this particular point in time. And then it gives this other person the opportunity to continue to go through their like gestational phase, to continue to go through that process of wherever they are at and kind of becoming this love within themselves that they are seeking and also that you are seeking. So I'm going to get some standalone message cards from the self-love deck, and you can use these as journal prompts, mantras, even just things to think about, and then I'll close the reading out with some initials. Okay, and we have, I am safe to explore new love with others. I am clear and open to receive miracles. And I create positive actions through the cycle of change. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, Z, P, S, M, B, D, V, Y, M, C, J, N, N, L, A, L, R, X, D, A, and G. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.